8 million in cash rides with me toward the fishing village's premium wild croakers. As loading begins, the community reverses every price and threatens to dump everything. We'd rather dump them back. Market price is 5,000 a gin. Blake protests. You offer 1,500, that is robbery, Quinn. The foreign company's educated legal advisor now represents the entire fishing community. Familiar fishermen hide behind Blake, their shifting eyes warning me of deeper trouble. My answer? The contract fixes prices, what remains to discuss? Still smiling, I urge. Freeze and load them first, we can talk afterward. Henry suddenly charges from the crowd and blocks the live tanks. He spreads both arms and shouts. Wait, nobody touches my family's fish. Henry, our black and white contract requires delivery today for cash. This is a breach. Contract, don't wave that worthless scrap of paper to frighten honest people. Freedom of contract requires fair value. Everyone, what's premium yellow croaker worth now? High-end seafood restaurants already charge 6 or 7,000 per gin. Exceptional single fish auction for tens of thousands. Hear that, Quinn? Blake, that isn't how the numbers work at all. First, those are top restaurants' finished dish prices. Second, business requires contractual integrity. 6 months earlier, I guarantee your livelihoods through the fishing ban, whereas freedom. Pointing below, I say, this berth carries your fish out alive immediately. I invest 1,200,000 expanding this deepwater cold chain dock. I provide the storm-resistant deep-sea cages. Under contractual freedom, don't those costs count? This is voluntary, nobody begs you to build the dock. That investment is your marginal transaction cost for resources, unrelated to our surplus value. Henry stuns me. 6 months earlier, he is still a grateful, plain fisherman. Legal jargon like marginal transaction cost rolls effortlessly from his once plain mouth. Blake coached him, planning to make me an easy mark. I breathe deeply. After one deep breath, I photograph the village dock and its 8 million cash. My answer comes sharply. Henry chooses contractual freedom, so I choose mine. Then I call my assistant. Lock down the cold chain dock, cut power to oxygenation. Their protest rises. What does this mean? My answer? I withdraw and cancel our contract. Turning away, I hear Blake sneer. You think everyone dies without you? Without looking back, I answer quietly. Then I wish all of you good luck. Behind me, the fishing community watches my departure before erupting into loud cheers. The crowd cheers. The bloodsucker Quinn is gone. One honest fisherman follows me. The fisherman says, Quinn, take my fish. I answer, good, I buy everything. Henry roars, Mason, sell to him and you're finished here. Mason stays beside me. To me, the real show is only beginning. Next morning, the dock bustles. Next morning, Blake brings Ryan, draped in gold beside his luxury car. The buyer confidently assures Henry, you can rest easy with this deal. Business runs on integrity, 3,000 per gin sold in cash. The fishing community's eyes light up at once. His price doubles Quinn's offer. Henry beams and declares, this should happen, our fish deserve that price. Blake looks smug as Henry exclaims. Blake finds a major buyer immediately. Blake faces me and boasts, Quinn, market efficiency makes your monopoly games obsolete. Against my car, I observe coldly. Then may your partnership prosper together. Everyone relax, refrigerated trucks are coming, every fish reaches the provincial capital alive. The fishing community cheers. Ryan reaches the live tank, then suddenly pales. Why are all these fish dead? Impossible, they were all lively yesterday. The tank's oxygen system has no power since last night. Beside the powerless tanks, dying fish struggle as Blake accuses me of sabotage. The equipment is mine and I pay for power, why can't I cut it? Ryan panics and shouts, reconnect everything quickly, dead fish become completely worthless. Desperate to restore power, Blake rushes straight toward the locked equipment controls. Every control demands a password and fingerprint. Furious, he turns on me. Fine, what's the password? Holding my phone, I explain. It's proprietary equipment. Only authorized personnel can operate it. The buyer pleads, Quinn, stop joking. If these fish die, everyone is finished. What does that have to do with me? I turn and prepare to leave. Mason walks over, pulling his tank. Quinn, my fish are here. Inside, yellow croakers remain alive, darting vigorously. How did you preserve them? Mason answers, after your warning, the fish go into deep-sea cages. I set Mason's price at 1,005 per gin, paying immediately. At 10 billion per gin, Mason receives 500,000 in cash. The fishing community stares. I lead Mason toward the only operating preservation passage. It is reserved for people I trust. Blake charges over. Why can he use it but not us? Because he's trustworthy and you're not. My fingerprint unlocks the cold storage passage. Mason's fish enter cold storage while the community's catch floats belly up behind us. Henry drops to his knees, clutches a dead fish and sobs. It's over. Ryan turns livid and says, dead fish are worthless, solve this yourselves. At the dock, Blake catches Ryan before the buyer can escape. Blake grabs Ryan. We have a contract. Ryan snaps. Your fish are dead, what contract remains? Inside my car, I stay silent. My phone rings, Jonas warns. Quinn, someone is probing our patents, probably Blake's lawyer. A cold smile rises. Let him investigate, deeper digging only makes us fall harder. On the third day, Ryan returns carrying an enormous pile of refrigeration equipment. At the dock, a technical crew follows Ryan, he boasts. I honor my word, start again. The fishing community cheers. We have another chance. This time it will work. Blake gloats. See, Quinn, the world keeps turning without you. Against my car, I silently watch Ryan's crew approach the live water tanks. Before me, a piercing alarm erupts when they connect the new equipment. What's wrong? Sweating after inspection, the technician reports. Special connectors make our equipment incompatible. Ryan orders modifications, but the technician warns. Changing this tank destroys its seal. At the tanks, the technician refuses to break the seal and kill every fish. The refrigeration technician shakes his head. Only the original equipment can work. Ryan demands my price. I smile and answer. Sorry, external rentals are unavailable. The lawyer threatens. This is a technology monopoly and you will face litigation. Black van stops at the dock. Jonas steps out in heels. Who plans to sue our company? Jonas approaches with thick files. Blake sneers. Your technology monopoly violates antitrust law. Jonas opens the folder. Our 127 patents cover farming, preservation, and transport. Every core technology from deep-sea farming through live transport stands documented inside. Jonas flings each file before Blake. These approvals come from the National Agriculture Authority. The next document shows me the Marine Administration Authority's certification for using the village dock. Under countless red official seals, Blake steadily pales over each traceability document. Jonas stares coldly. As corporate counsel, you know patents are legal rights, not monopolies. Blake protests. You're maliciously building technical barriers. Jonas smiles. Why stay silent when signing, then question our legal rights after breaching? Blake has no answer. Sensing trouble, Ryan quietly edges toward his car. Jonas blocks his retreat and says, Ryan, remain here, we still need answers. You agreed on 3,000 yesterday. Despite the fish, the contract stands right. Ryan pales and argues. The fish died, so the contract automatically becomes void. Jonas produces the guaranteed purchase agreement. Dead or alive, you owe 30% upfront. Ryan snatches the document, reads it, and turns green. The document reveals Blake secretly inserted that clause while representing the fishing community. Ryan points at Blake and roars. You deliberately set me up with this. Blake protests. I help everyone. Henry demands. Then where is the deposit? Blake stammers helplessly before I ask. Wait, how is our fish loading progressing? Mason reports. Everything is warehoused and now heading toward the provincial capital. Facing the community, I say. Everyone, the deal is finished, but we're still friends. I'll leave now. Inside my car, I watch through the rearview mirror. Through my mirror, Henry seizes Blake while chaos consumes the village dock. Jonas hands me a report. Ryan's background is clear, he's a habitual fraud. The report states, he chemically treats rotten seafood and sells it as live. I narrow my eyes knowing this is unfinished. 3 days later, Mason calls me. Quinn, the fishing village faces a crisis. At the dock, a distant stench hits me. Every croaker lies dead. Rotting piles cover the shore. The fishermen hunt Ryan, but he has fled. On shore, the elder fisherman collapses, looking 10 years older. He sobs. 1 million in fish is completely rotten. The others despair. Bank loans remain unpaid, and now we've lost the principal too. At the shore, Blake hides behind the crowd until someone suddenly notices me. A shout rises. Boss Quinn is here. Every gaze snaps toward me. Henry clutches my leg. Boss Quinn, please buy them for 1,500 per caddy. He begs. 1,000, even 500. My gaze settles on the stinking fish. Puzzled, I ask, Henry, is this a joke? He pleads. Boss Quinn, forgive us. The fishermen kneel, I scoff. Days ago, you vowed to dump everything at sea before selling me anything. Henry weeps at my feet. We lost our senses, greed blinded us completely. Boss Quinn, please give us a way to survive. Crouching, I meet Henry's eyes. Holding Henry's gaze, I ask, you understand the difference between live and dead fish? Henry freezes, I point. Live fish are seafood, dead fish are garbage. On my phone, I display today's market price. Dead yellow croaker brings 50 per caddy, even in excellent condition. Bluntly, I say, your fish stink, buying them cannot cover freight. Henry collapses. Henry asks, what now? I shrug. No idea. Turning away, I meet Blake. Blake blocks me. Boss Quinn, your deliberate outage makes you responsible too. Stopping, I ask, what responsibility? He answers, your deliberate outage caused every loss. My smile vanishes. Blake, answer as counsel, the equipment and electricity are mine. When I use them is my freedom. Blake protests, but this is malicious. I point at him. Who breached first? Who preached freedom of contract? Now trouble comes and you blame me. Blake falls speechless. Facing the fishing community, I declare, everyone, honest business depends upon honoring signed contracts. 6 months earlier, your hunger drives me to guarantee every purchase price. Lacking equipment, my 1,200,000 builds the village dock. Your fish could not survive, so I provided deep-sea shelter. Then you signed contracts and raised prices. You broke them, then begged me to buy garbage. Sorry, I don't buy garbage. I leave without looking back. Through my mirror, Henry grabs a dead fish and smashes it into Blake's face. This is all your fault, you jinx. The village fishing community surrounds Blake, beating him until he flees. Inside the car, Jonas hands me a file. Mason's fish reach Dave. He's extremely satisfied. Dave offers 8,000 per gin and wants long-term cooperation. I nod. How is Mason? Jonas reports. Mason earns over 200 myriads, more than 2 million, then offers dinner. Watching the window, I tell him, keep working hard, plenty more profitable opportunities are coming. My assistant adds, Boss Quinn, a villager calls you a heartless merchant online. A scoff escapes me. Find the poster. My assistant answers, Blake. My eyes narrow. He still refuses to quit. Jonas passes me a tablet. Blake visited Mason's cages last night. On screen, Blake skulks around Mason's cages and lingers suspiciously along their edges. A cold smile lifts my lips. Interesting, it looks like he wants to steal Mason's fish. Jonas asks about police, I reply. Wait, let him steal himself into bankruptcy. Soon throughout the fishing village, the economy collapses completely and reckoning begins. Banks demand repayment while the village fishing community cannot afford food. Henry leads them to my company. Outside, they hold banners and wail. Heartless boss, return our blood-earned money. Bystanders record everything. Inside my office, the floor-ceiling window frames the spectacle below as Jonas enters. Jonas asks, should we call police? I refuse. Let them rage until they leave. Then Mason calls me. His voice trembles with tears. Boss, the yellow croaker in my cage is missing. My brow tightens. When? Mason answers. It was there last night but disappeared by morning. That auction-grade yellow croaker is worth at least 500,000. I sneer. I know who did it. On screen, Blake and two accomplices use professional tools to steal the croaker. Jonas asks, should we call police? Blake's triumphant face fills the screen. My answer is simple. No. My answer is firm. He wants the city auction to restore him. Let him go. Jonas freezes. Turning toward Jonas, I ask, what sits inside every premium yellow croaker? Jonas understands instantly. A traceability microchip. I nod. Notify the major buyer immediately. Before Jonas, I announce, tonight I personally attend the city's seafood auction. He smiles knowingly. That evening, merchants and major hotel owners pack the city's grandest hotel for its seafood auction. Behind private suite glass, I await the bidding. Through one-way glass, Blake lurks in a corner beside an insulated case. The auctioneer raises his voice. Our next item is special, ladies and gentlemen. The auctioneer announces, Wild Croaker 8 gin starting at 100,000. The auctioneer asks, Sir, who are you? Blake stands. I own and consign it. At the podium, Blake opens the insulated case, revealing Mason's golden croaker and drawing shocked exclamations from everyone across the hall. The auctioneer carefully examines it. Its quality is exceptional, we follow standard procedure. The auctioneer declares, bidding opens at 150,000. Blake smiles smugly. I watch Blake chase bids, 160,000, 180,000, then 200,000. He shakes all over, but at that moment, I press the VIP intercom. Wait. My amplified voice stuns everyone. The auctioneer bows. What does our VIP guest require? Rising from the booth, I enter the auction hall and face everyone inside. The entire hall falls silent. Seeing me, Blake instantly turns deathly pale. Blake blurts, Quinn, why are you here? I approach. Auctioneer, scan this fish. From my hand, the puzzled auctioneer accepts a portable scanner. The auctioneer scans the row, the device beeps and data fills the screen. The display reads, Chip AW202400315, registered owner Mason, registration 3 months ago. The hall erupts. Facing Blake, I demand, why do you have Mason's fish? Blake's face drains white. Mason gave it to me for auction. Calling Mason on speaker, I ask, did Blake have permission to auction your fish? Mason answers, no, boss Quinn, my fish was stolen last night, police come next. The entire hall goes silent. I turn my gaze directly toward Blake. My voice cuts through the silence. Blake, hear that? Kneeling, he begs, Quinn, forgive me. Coldly, I answer, now you understand, but too late. Then I turn away. Facing the auctioneer, I order, call police, this fish is stolen property. Wealthy onlookers murmur, so he stole it, what incredible nerve. He dares sell stolen goods here. Within 10 minutes, police arrive and seize Blake. Blake shouts while leaving, Quinn, spare me, my whole family depends on me. Without glancing back, I leave. A guest recognizes me and shouts. He owns the Han Family Seafood Group. What, he controls the seafood supply chain across Asia. He seemed like an ordinary fish buyer. Dave offers his card respectfully. Quinn, forgive me, your personal visit surprises everyone. Accepting Dave's card, I reply, Dave, no ceremony, this visit is personal. Dave lowers his voice. Quinn, my long-term supply offer is serious, name your price. Studying Dave, I explain, cooperation isn't the issue, that fishing village cannot guarantee quality. Then what can be done? Dave frowns while I consider the problem. My answer is blunt. Someone must reorganize the village through standardized farming and purchasing. Dave's eyes brighten. Quinn, will you do it? With a smile, I answer, on one condition. One condition follows. Every fisherman accepts my management and obeys my rules. Dave offers persuasion, I shake my head. Soon they will come begging me. The next day at the fishing village, Henry receives the bank's final notice. Repay within 3 days or your boats and nets will be seized. The fishing community panics completely. At the fishing village, Henry cries, how can we repay? Our fish are dead, Blake ruined us. He collapses. Mason returns in a new pickup loaded with bags. Henry remains hollow-eyed. The fishing community crowds around him. Mason, you've suddenly made a fortune. Mason tells everyone. Quinn helps my batch earn over 200 myriads. Around Mason, everyone freezes. Henry trembles. How can several thousand jinn earn millions? Before the crowd, Mason proudly explains how Quinn secured the sale for him. At Dave's restaurant, the fish fetch 8,000 per jinn plus long-term cooperation. The fishermen turn sick with regret. We should never have listened to Blake. Now Mason is rich while we'll be begging. Henry suddenly grabs his hand. Mason, please plead for everyone. Ask your boss to give us another chance. Mason looks troubled. Henry, helping you is impossible after everyone went much too far. At the village, Mason warns. Quinn wants nothing from you. They panic. The bank will evict us. Mason answers. Apologize to Quinn yourselves. That afternoon, Henry leads over 10 fishermen toward headquarters, saying, We go now. Outside my company they carry no banners and cause no trouble. Instead they kneel. Quinn, please come down and meet us. Passers-by stop and photograph them. From my office, onlookers' mockery carries upward. Heartless boss, why kneel now? Jonah studies downstairs. Boss, should security remove them? I shake my head. Shaking my head, I say, let them kneel. Henry's group remains there 3 hours. Under the blazing sun, elderly fishermen nearly collapse. Unable to watch, Mason rushes upstairs. Mason meets my stare. Boss, please see them, they truly admit their mistake. My warning stops Mason. You're too soft, remember how they treated you. He bows, but they are my childhood neighbors. After a pause, my answer comes. Fine, bring them up, but my terms come first. Mason immediately hurries downstairs. Henry soon leads the fishermen into my office. Ashen-faced and dusty, each one kneels before me. Boss, we were blind and consumed by greed. Please give us one more chance. From my chair, my gaze stays cold. You had a chance and wasted it. Henry kowtows. Boss, will do anything you demand as long as we survive. Rising, I walk to the window. You can survive, but only under my rules. They answer. State your rules, we'll obey. I turn, ready to dictate terms. Turning toward them, I declare. Today you become my company's employees, not independent fishermen. Every fish goes through my purchasing, pricing, and sales. Glances pass between them. Can we still earn money? A cold laugh escapes me. Profit, you barely survive, yet still dream of riches. Henry grits his teeth. Boss, anything is acceptable if we can repay the bank. After studying them, I say, good, sign the contract. Jonah's presents the prepared papers. Clause by clause, the fishing community reads, every face darkening before me. The terms are brutal. Everyone must farm by my standards and receive piece rate pay. Every machine, cage, and village dock remains mine. Nobody receives base pay. Henry finishes reading, his hands visibly trembling. Boss, doesn't this reduce us to mere hired hands? My terms remain simple. Anyone unwilling may refuse, I force nobody. They exchange looks. Before me, a fisherman steps forward. No deal, these terms crush us. Around me, others waver. Exactly, our families have worked independently for generations. Henry hesitates. Boss, how can we become hired hands? Please ease these terms. Smiling, I ask, ease them. Then I approach the screen and press the remote. Footage shows their collective breach and attack. One protester shouts. 1,000. One protester shouts. 50 billion is robbery, dump fish we won't sell, Earth turns without you. Every word rings clear. The fisherman flush as the footage plays. My remote advances to the next recording. With one click, I show their banner. Heartless boss, return our wages. Stopping the footage, I ask, everyone, this is your true face, still bargaining. Henry lowers his head. Boss Quinn, we were wrong. I said, too late. 2 choices remain. Sign as my employees or face the bank alone. Silence grips the fishermen until Mason steps forward. Boss Quinn, sign me up. Mason stands firm. Boss Quinn saved me, following him means we survive. He steps forward, takes the pen and signs. Henry grits his teeth. Count me in 2. The others follow, but Luke hesitates. Our survival doesn't depend on Boss Quinn. The young fisherman turns away and I make no attempt to stop him. Waving Luke away, I say, leave unsigned, I need no extra worker. He storms out. Facing the rest, I command. Starting tomorrow, follow my rules, disobedience means dismissal. Yes, Boss Quinn. They chorus to Jonah's. Clear their loans, deduct it from future wages. Henry grows so emotional he nearly cries. An elder says, Boss Quinn, our lifesaver. I answer, repay it with interest. Henry nods repeatedly. Of course, boss, paying all interest is completely fair. After they leave, Jonas wonders, Boss Quinn, aren't you afraid they'll betray you again? I laugh. Betray me again and they lose even their village. Jonas hands me a document. My assistant reports, Dave orders 5,000 gin at 10,000 each. Scanning the file, I order. Promise Dave delivery within 1 month with guaranteed quality. But Boss Quinn, capacity is impossible. Standing, I rule. Work relentlessly, failure cuts wages. The next day I enter the fishing village, drawing every fisherman's attention. They greet me respectfully. Good morning, Boss Quinn. I nod and reach the dock, ready to set the regime. Today onward, use my standard 6 to 8. Every fish inspected, failures are rejected. The fishermen exchange uneasy looks. Boss Quinn, aren't those standards much too strict? Coldly, I challenge their complaint. Too strict. Dave offers 10,000 per gin, but only top-grade fish qualify, nothing less. Around me, fishermen brighten, one asks, 10,000 per gin, what's our share? Calmly, I explain. Piecework pays 500 for every fish passing inspection. Fail inspection, earn nothing. The fishermen instantly rally with determination. Boss Quinn will work hard. As I leave, I spot Luke lurking suspiciously beside the village dock. Approaching him at the dock, I ask, why are you here? Luke hesitates. Just watching them work. Luke mutters coldly, I ask, didn't you claim independence? Luke reddens. Boss Quinn, that was wrong. Is signing a contract still possible? I study him. My answer stays firm. No vacancies. Luke panics. Boss Quinn, my family needs this work. Turning away, I tell him. That was your choice alone, blame nobody else. Luke kneels. Boss Quinn, please, the mistake is finally clear. I pause. My steps stop, but I never turn. You may sign under conditions: hardest work, lowest pay, 3 months probation, fail the assessment and leave immediately. Luke bows repeatedly. Agreed completely. I finally turn. Go sign with Jonas. Luke runs off gratefully. Mason approaches me. Boss Quinn, your heart remains soft. Looking at him, I answer. This isn't softness, they're receiving one final chance. Those who waste this final chance are beyond saving. The fishing village restarts. Before dawn at the dock, fishermen work 10 times harder under my supervision. Jonas reports. Someone tried sabotaging the cages last night. The underwater radar caught them. With a frown, I ask, who did it? Jonas displays the underwater surveillance footage on screen. Several dark figures are cutting the cage ropes with scissors. The view enlarges. On screen, Ryan appears. Jonas says, he's taking revenge by destroying our cages. Revenge demands a price, I order. Call the police, he pays today. Report malicious destruction of fishery facilities. We have all the evidence. Within half an hour, police speedboats surround Ryan while he sabotages cages offshore, stunning him completely. Offshore, Ryan freezes. Officers, this is a misunderstanding. They answer. Surveillance captured everything. At the village dock, handcuffed Ryan comes ashore and notices me waiting. He sees me dockside and grits his teeth. Quinn, you called the police. Smiling, I ask, should I ignore someone deliberately sabotaging my cages? Ryan roars. You'll pay. I approach him. Your final chance is gone. Turning toward the officers, I report. He chemically treated dead fish, then sold them as live. Beside me, Jonas hands the officers a thick file containing all our evidence. As the officers read, their faces grow grave. This is extremely serious. Dockside, an officer orders. Come for questioning. Ryan cries. No, this was wrong. Police ignore him and take him away. Jonas wonders. Boss, will Ryan face prison? A nod settles it. Food safety violations can bring 3 to 5 years. Seize every asset and compensate every consumer he cheated. Jonas acts immediately. Watching this unfold, the fishing community collectively draws breath. Around me, a fisherman warns the others. Quinn is ruthless, never offend him. Henry approaches cautiously. Boss, you've truly rid the people of a menace. Fixing Henry with my stare, I warn. Work hard, forget those pointless schemes. Over the next half-month, village efficiency soars after Henry says, yes, boss. The fishermen raise fish desperately, fearing failed standards and docked wages. Each day I inspect personally. Every substandard fish goes back for further raising. At first, the fishermen complain. A fisherman asks, boss, this fish is excellent, why reject it? I inspect. Look at these scales, they aren't golden enough, showing inadequate nutrition. Its eyes aren't clear, revealing bad water. Dave's order would destroy my reputation. Silenced by my warning, the fishermen carefully check water quality every day. They adjust feed ratios and qualification rates steadily rise. Gleaming yellow croakers fill the cages, earning my satisfied nod. With a nod, I say, good, maintain the standard. Their energy rises as Mason approaches. Mason approaches. Boss Quinn, Dave's deadline nears. Is our stock sufficient? I check. Checking our stock, I answer. 3 more days yields 5,000 caddis. Mason exhales. Next morning, Henry rushes over, panicked. Boss, huge numbers of caged fish are dying. My face tightens. What happened? Reaching the cages, I find dead fish everywhere. Blackened gills confirm poison as I haul a fish. Where is the water quality report? Jonas opens the readings. Boss, the water is clean. Narrowed eyes betray my certainty. Someone is causing trouble here once again. Last night's replay shows a shadow pouring something into the cages. The image enlarges. Enlarging the footage, I recognize Luke's face and laugh coldly at his betrayal. His betrayal wastes the single chance I grant him. Jonas asks, call police. Shaking my head, I answer, no, mine to handle. Then Luke is summoned. Luke enters casually. Boss needs something. I stare. Where were you last night? Pale with guilt, Luke stammers. Home asleep. A cold laugh slips out. Then explain why the footage caught you poisoning the cages. Luke's face turns deathly pale. I didn't do it. Across the screen, I play the surveillance footage, revealing his face unmistakably. Before me, the fisherman collapses. Boss, this was wrong. Someone paid me 50,000. Pressing him, I demand. Who? Luke trembles. The person paying me wants revenge. A cold laugh escapes me. Blake is already in custody, yet he still causes trouble. Jonas explains. Boss, Blake only awaits trial. He still has accomplices outside. A nod settles it. This hidden threat needs eliminating completely once and for all. Looking down at kneeling Luke, I declare. Your contract is terminated. Leave immediately. Pointing toward the village entrance, I order. Leave and never return. Luke begs. Boss, one more chance. My answer stays cold. You already received that chance. Security takes Luke away on my order. Turning to Jonas, I command. Investigate every Blake connection. Let nobody escape. Jonas nods. Understood. Watching the dead fish, I shape my plan for Blake. This time, Blake will never recover. After the poisoning is handled, peace returns. Dave receives his order on time, delighted. Boss, this fish exceeds my expectations. Smiling, I say, good. Dave whispers, Boss, a bigger order may interest you. Across the table, the buyer explains. A 3-star Michelin restaurant needs premium ingredients. The enormous long-term offer leaves me silent while I weigh its demands and consequences. After considering it, I admit, Dave, the village currently lacks sufficient production capacity. The buyer nods. Expand production and a full year's payment comes up front. My eyes brighten. My question comes quickly. How much? The buyer answers, 50 million. I extend my hand. Deal? At the meeting I announce, everyone, there is good news. The community listens. Before everyone I announce, a huge order requires 3 times our production, tripling your incomes. Across the meeting, the fishing community erupts. Wonderful, long live the boss. Henry beams. Boss, you're our god of wealth. With a calming hand I warn, don't celebrate too soon. Raising one hand I explain, expansion needs more workers, equipment, and 20 million under one condition. Someone asks, what condition? Silence falls, I answer. Village operations become mine. You handle farming and fishing. Revenue is divided proportionally, 70% to me. The remaining 30% is yours. The fishing community exchanges uneasy looks. A murmur rises. Isn't this selling our whole village to the boss? Henry hesitates. That ratio seems excessive. I laugh coldly. You consider this unfair. My challenge silences Henry. Without my technology, channels, and funding, who produces premium yellow croaker? Could you sell it for 10,000 per caddy? Henry has no answer. 20 million and every risk are mine. You work, get paid, and call that unfair. At the meeting, Mason stands. Boss is right, without him we're nothing. With Mason leading, the fishing community members nod one after another. One says, agreed, working for the boss is far better than our former lives. Henry relents. We follow the boss. Satisfied, I nod. Good, sign the contracts. At my signal, Jonah's presence prepared contracts, and the community signs them individually. Just then, a commotion erupts at the village entrance. Move aside, all of you. At the village entrance, Blake storms inside with several men. The community freezes. Someone blurts, Blake, how are you out? His sneer answers, released on bail today, justice comes. He points at me. Quinn, your technological monopoly forces fishermen into unfair contracts. Laughing, I ask, Blake, is this another illegal stunt meant to cause trouble? Blake produces a complaint. A lawyer drafted this lawsuit over monopoly and coerced trade. Around the meeting, the fishing community wavers. Blake is right, 70-30 feels unfair. We do the work while Quinn takes the larger share. Even Henry hesitates. An elder hesitates. Boss, can we reconsider? I privately scorn these fickle followers. Calmly I answer, fine, let's discuss it. Calling Dave, I say, sorry, that 50 million order is impossible now. Stunned, Dave asks, why? Because the fishermen think their share is too small and refuse. Dave sighs. Over the phone, the buyer sighs. Michelin restaurant owners await introductions, pity. Dave concludes, another supplier gets the order. After hanging up, I face the community. Everyone heard that. My announcement lands hard. That 50 million order is gone. Everyone gasps. 50 million? An elder panics. Boss, please don't joke. I answer, this is no joke. Since you consider it unfair, this business ends. All contracts are terminated now. My verdict is final. Every investment is withdrawn. The panicked community pleads. Quinn, please reconsider. The antagonist sneers. Stop pretending, everyone survives perfectly without you. I meet his stare. Facing Blake, I ask, without my technology or channels, who sells fish? The antagonist boasts, seafood merchants will buy everything for 300 billion. The community brightens, someone cheers. 3,000 is good. My laugh stays cold. Then enjoy your partnership. I turn away, Jonah's following. Quinn, are you truly giving up? I shake my head. No, they must learn who the real bloodsucker is. 2 days later, Blake's seafood merchants expose their true intentions before the village. They demand 50,000 upfront, then cut 3,000 to 2,000. The fishing community realizes the scam. Blake, didn't you promise 3,000 per caddy? Equally stunned, Blake mutters. They claim the market changed. Henry trembles with rage. The community shouts, fraud, you've ruined us again. They surround Blake, punching and kicking, shielding his head. Blake cries. The merchants deceived everyone. Henry collapses, weeping. Everything is over, we're too late. Beside him, Mason sighs. Quinn offers our only way forward. This warning comes early, yet nobody listens. Henry grips Mason's hand. Mason, please beg Quinn for us again. Mason shakes his head. Mason refuses. Help is impossible, you've wounded Quinn deeply. Henry shuts his eyes. At that moment, an emergency weather alert announces an approaching super typhoon. 3 days before landfall, the community collapses. Someone cries. The typhoon is coming. Dark clouds gather, Henry weeps. Treasure chests cannot survive, everything is lost. Blake jumps forward again. This is all Quinn's fault. Without him withdrawing, we wouldn't suffer. Henry seizes his collar. You still have the nerve to speak after this. Without you, how would we have offended Quinn? You preach freedom in contracts. You brought that fraudulent buyer and urged our breach. Now you blame others. Near the wall, other fishermen close in. Someone shouts. Blake caused everything, fraud. Against the wall, Blake turns pale. This isn't my doing, Quinn is ruthless. Henry slaps him hard. Still making excuses after everything you've done. The elder demands. Quinn invests 1,200,000, where are you? The elder asks. Quinn builds the dock, supplies deep-sea cages, where are you? He helped us, yet you urged us to repay kindness with betrayal. Blake falls silent. Henry points. From today, get out of this fishing village and never return. By the entrance, fishermen shout, "Get out, you're unwelcome." Blake flees in disgrace. After Blake flees, Henry watches distant storm clouds and sighs. Mason, can you help us one last time? The request leaves Mason conflicted. Henry, this has gone too far. Quinn offered several chances, but you never valued them. On the ground, Henry kneels. The typhoon is coming and no options remain. Please take pity on these old bones. The other fishermen also kneel beside Henry. Mason, please. He looks at all the neighbors beside him since childhood. There, the fisherman relents. Fine, this fisherman will try, but Quinn may refuse. In my office, I study the path, Jonas warns. Typhoon arrives in 2 days. With the village certain to fall, I nod. Let them bear the consequences. Mason knocks and enters. Mason says, Quinn, a favor needs asking. I answer, speak. He kneels. They know their mistake and expelled Blake. For old ties, please help once more. I laugh coldly. Mason, you're too soft, they have betrayed me repeatedly. Now trouble comes, they beg, do you think I should help? Mason lowers his head. Their actions were wrong. The typhoon will leave them nothing. After a moment, I decide. Fine, I'll help. This time they follow my rules and nothing is negotiable. Mason nods immediately. Name them, they'll obey. I take out a document. This is their new agreement. Every fisherman must sign and fingerprint it. From today, they are no longer partners. They become my employees. I take 80% of all profits, they receive 20. Anyone who betrays me again loses everything. Mason reads the terms and gasps. Quinn, aren't these conditions too harsh? My voice stays cold. Then let the typhoon take them. Mason grits his teeth. Fine, they'll hear. He carries the agreement back to the fishing village. The terms drain every fisherman's face. 80-20, that's ruthless. Another protest. We work ourselves raw for only 20%. Henry snatches the agreement. Sign it you must, what more could you want? Quinn's willingness to help us now is already an enormous blessing to everyone. Without Quinn, we wouldn't even receive 20%. Henry takes the pen, signs first, and stamps his fingerprint. The others exchange uncertain looks. One by one they sign. Mason brings me the agreement. Studying the fingerprints, I sneer. Excellent. Tell them my crew reinforces the cages tomorrow. More tricks bring lifelong regret. Mason nods firmly. Rest assured, Quinn, this time they are truly frightened. The next day, I bring my aquaculture technical crew into the fishing village. The fishermen line both sides and greet me respectfully. Ignoring them, I reach the cages. Move every fish from ordinary cages into deep-sea shelter. The crew starts immediately. Only then do the fishermen grasp what I gave them. The deep-sea cages I provided are specifically designed to withstand powerful typhoons. Special materials strengthen their frames, and they automatically sink deep beneath the storm. Henry watches the cages, eyes wet. Quinn has considered our safety all along. The other fishermen lower their heads in shame. It's true. Quinn helps us, yet we hurt him repeatedly. I say coldly. Now you understand, too late. I warn them. Work hard and don't disappoint me. Everyone agrees in unison. That night, the entire coastline goes black beneath the shadow of the approaching typhoon. Only our deep-sea cages remain unharmed underwater. Nearby villages lose every single cage. The next day, we inspect the cages and find every fish alive and thrashing. Everyone weeps and Henry kneels before me. You truly are our life-saving benefactor. The others kneel too. We will work hard and never betray you again. I fix them with a look. Remember this, there will be no next chance. They repeatedly kowtow. Never again, we absolutely will not betray you again. Turning to Jonas, I order. Count the losses, pay compensation, and repair everything. Also notify Dave that we can supply his orders as usual. Jonas nods. Understood. Watching the distant sea, I smile. This performance is finally nearing its conclusion. After the typhoon, neighboring villages lie devastated, while our village remains completely untouched. News spreads and neighboring fishermen rush over. How did your cages survive that typhoon? Henry beams. These are deep-sea storm-resistant cages Quinn gave us, designed especially for typhoons. The visiting fishermen stare at the undamaged cages, their eyes reddening with envy. You are incredibly lucky to meet someone as good as Quinn. Henry sighs. This isn't luck, we were ungrateful and nearly drove Quinn away from us. Just then Blake appears again, this time accompanied by the suited lawyer Tyler. Blake addresses everyone. Let me introduce Tyler, a lawyer specializing in labor disputes. The fishermen's faces harden. You dare return? Blake sneers. Why wouldn't I? I came to defend your rights. He points at me. Quinn forced unfair terms. An 80-20 split is blatant labor exploitation. Tyler adds. Such contracts are legally invalid. Tyler adjusts his glasses. Correct, labor law forbids employers from coercing unfair contracts. You can sue Quinn and demand that the profits be distributed all over again. The fishermen exchange glances and some waver. Getting a larger share sounds better. Yes, 20% is rather little. But Henry steps forward. That's enough. What more could you want? Without Quinn, none of us would even be alive. Yet you're thinking about money. Blake sneers. Henry, Quinn has brainwashed you. You do all the hard work, so why receive only 20%? Tyler agrees. The law grants you the right to pursue greater profits. The fishermen begin whispering. Why not try? We have nothing to lose. Henry's whole body trembles furiously. You're beyond saving. Henry turns and leaves. Mason follows him. Count me out. Urged on by Blake, the remaining fishermen sign authorization letters. Tyler nods approvingly. Excellent, in 3 days, Quinn will formally face our lawsuit. Blake smiles triumphantly. News of the threat reaches my office, where Jonas fumes over the lawsuit. My assistant fumes, I only smile. Let them sue, truth needs saying. I merely smile. Let them sue, there are things worth saying. Jonas looks stunned. You're not angry. I shake my head. Anger changes nothing, they never learn without consequences. Prepare the evidence and show them how this backfires. 3 days later, Tyler rises in court, burning with righteous indignation before Marcus. Henry declares to Marcus, Quinn uses technical monopoly to coerce my clients. An 80-20 split is clearly unreasonable and gravely harms the workers' rights. The court must void this contract and compensate the fishing community for its losses. The fishermen watch expectantly. This time we'll surely get a larger share. Marcus looks at me. Defendant, what do you have to say? I rise. Facing Marcus, I say, evidence is ready. Jonas sets down a thick stack. I explain. Records list every investment. 1,200,000 for the dock, 800,000 for storm-resistant deep-sea cages. I list training 500,000, wages 300,000, total 2.8 million. Marcus examines the documents. These are all your investments. I nod. Correct. I own all equipment. The fishermen use it to raise fish for my purchase. This is ordinary commercial cooperation with no forced labor. Tyler immediately objects, but an 80-20 split is obviously unreasonable. I sneer. Then answer me. Without my equipment can they raise premium yellow croakers? Without my channels can they fetch 10,000 per gin? Without my technology can their fish survive a typhoon? Tyler falls speechless. Besides, they enter this contract voluntarily without any coercion. They can refuse any unfair deal, I never force them. Jonas presents another document. My recorded voice proves consent remains voluntary. You may refuse, nobody forces you. The recording plays carrying my voice. You may refuse, no one is forcing you. The fishermen's faces fall, Marcus looks over. Plaintiffs is the defendant telling the truth. The fishermen only stammer. Growing anxious, Tyler jumps back into the argument. The lawyer argues, even voluntary consent cannot make 80-20 reasonable. My reply hardens. My answer? I invest 2,800,000 bearing every risk. I provide technology and buyers. They only labor, risk nothing, yet receive 20%. When typhoons strike, I absorb every loss. They repay nothing. Is that still unfair? Marcus nods in agreement. The defendant's argument is sound. Tyler's face turns livid. Tyler objects, but Marcus cuts him off. No buts, both parties enter the agreement voluntarily. A lawful contract remains valid. This court denies the plaintiff's claim. Court adjourned. The gavel falls, the fishermen stare blankly. How can this happen? We lost. Blake turns pale. Blake tries slipping away, but I stop him. Don't leave yet, we must talk. Blake freezes as I approach. You repeatedly incite the fishermen to betray me. Think your purpose escapes me. Blake pales. You are mistaken. I sneer. Ryan pays you $500,000 to provoke their breach. You auction Mason's stolen fish to repay debts, then arrange the poisoning to take revenge on me. Now you bring a lawyer to sue and ruin me, yet every scheme fails. Blake trembles. What evidence do you have? Jonas hands over another file. Ryan's transfer record shows $500,000 with you as the recipient. Your recorded order sends Luke to poison fish. Your messages recruit Tyler. The evidence is conclusive. Denial changes nothing. Blake's legs buckle and he kneels. Boss, this is my fault. Please spare me. Too late. To the court officer, I say. He faces multiple crimes. Investigate him. The court officer immediately cuffs Blake and leads him away. Despair crosses his face. Boss, this is wrong of me. Ignoring him, I face them. This farce ends here. Return home, work properly, and never disappoint me again. The fishermen lower their heads in shame. Yes, Boss Quinn. The lawsuit ends. After the lawsuit, everyone works honestly without further doubts. At the dock, their busy figures surround me as Jonas approaches. My assistant reports. Quinn, Dave needs stock. Michelin restaurants open next month. Nodding, I promise. Delivery will be on time. Jonas hesitates briefly before continuing. The agency issues another warning. A super typhoon is forming, landing in 1 week. Frowning, I ask. Another one? Jonas nods. Worse than last time, a once-in-a-decade super typhoon. For a moment, I consider this forecast. Warn everyone now. Ask neighboring villages if they want to rent our deep-sea shelter. Jonas freezes in surprise. Boss Quinn, you actually want to help the neighboring villages. This isn't help, it's business. Rent is 10,000 a day. Jonas understands immediately. Jonas acts as village leaders arrive. Boss Quinn, may we rent your typhoon-proof shelter? Studying them, I answer. Yes, on one condition. They immediately ask. What condition? Rent is 10,000 a day and all 7 days must be paid up front. The leaders gasp. 70,000, that's far too expensive. I remain perfectly calm. Remaining calm, I say. 1 million could vanish, 70,000 is cheap. The leaders exchange uneasy looks. But where can we get that much cash? Rising, I declare. Nothing can be done, leave. They panic. Boss Quinn, please compromise. They plead. Take fish as collateral. I shake my head. Cash only. They grit their teeth. Fine, we'll raise it. They leave dejected. Jonas asks, what if they cannot raise it? Then they lose millions and come begging. 2 days later, the leaders return, fearing 1 million in looming losses. Boss Quinn, we've gathered the money. Can we rent the shelter now? Before me lies stacks of cash. Yes, sign the contract. The leaders sign it. Relieved, they say. Thank you, Boss Quinn, you saved us. Coolly, I answer. No thanks, this is business.